feedback, a special edition, a field trip, as it were.
I like that term, field trip.
Yeah, field trip.
It's been a long
We're
time
not
since I've been on a field trip.
With the headphones.
It's much more fun.
I'm joined by Patrick Klepek. We're at the the tail end of the D.I.C.E Summit, where we spent a long, somewhat tiring, but very informative week.
It is. I mean, that's the nice part about D.I.C.E is that it's, it's cool that they get some panelists that come in and kind of present things that, are sort of tangentially related to how you take in video games, but aren't necessarily about video games.
It is. I mean, it's kind of like TED, but a very sort of narrow focus on video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you don't have to be making video games to be speaking here. Hopefully, you realize I'm probably going to be pimping things that are on the site. As you can see, almost all of the videos from the lectures that were here at D.I.C.E are available. A couple did stand out for us.
Yeah. I mean, it was really the kind of like science ones that I felt like I was back in college again, and they weren't, again, like I said, related to video games necessarily, but it's all about your perception and interactivity and how you respond to things. And there was one that really stood out to me. There was the neuroscientists that were discussing essentially misdirection. They work with a lot of magicians and kind of talking about how people trick you into seeing things that you maybe necessarily don't see and what you do see. And they showed this one video that was it was two teams. They were wearing one team was wearing a white T-shirt, the other team was wearing black T-shirts, and they said just count how many times they passed the ball, the white team. And so they're passing the ball, you're following that. At the end of it, they go, well, how many times did they pass the ball? And everyone felt really smart. Oh, 13, you didn't trick me that time. And then they go, did you see the dancing bear? And I'm like, no, should I have? And so then they said, well, watch it this time, look for the dancing bear. And this time they showed the video, and sure enough, a guy in a bear costume comes through, does the moonwalk, and then goes off the screen. But because my perception was all over the how many times they were passing the ball, I never even saw the dancing bear, and it made me sad.
I mean, it's funny because the minute you hear that, you can see how you can apply that to video games. I know there's so many times I'm fixated on one part of the screen when there's even other activity going on.
And that was
sometimes it works to my advantage, or sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, that was their whole point, was that like games can learn something about what cinema does a lot, which is something's happening over here, something's happening over here, and games aren't necessarily as subtle as they could be, and sort of taking that away.
Now, also there's a professor from Carnegie Mellon University who I think really surprised a lot of people, even on our website, in terms of some of the thesis that he put out there. I think it ended in something almost as apocalyptic as life kind of becoming its own RPG.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like, I didn't get a chance to see it. You can watch the video on g4tv.com, but yeah, it seemed like that was sort of the kind of like, if you look at life from a larger perspective, it essentially is an RPG where you're leveling up and acquiring different traits, and it was like when you think about it that way, it's a little bizarre.
Yeah, it's a little bit troubling. Now, two of the things I think are where a lot of talk is going to be is the two big names that did some keynote presentations. The first being Bobby Kotick of Activision, which the hall was really full because no one knew what they were going to be getting out of it.
Yeah, it was really interesting because he's not a guy that really has much of a public face. He has a financial face. You hear every time you hear a headline with Bobby Kotick, it's part of a financial call because he is that kind of guy. And that was a really interesting talk because I think people don't really know him that well, and it felt like that hour-long talk was essentially get to know Bobby Kotick and he was trying to humanize himself in front of his peers.
Yeah.
He is a guy that comes across as, and it self-admits to this, that he's sort of separated from everything. He looks at it, he doesn't even play video games, is what he was kind of talking about during his speech.
Yeah, it wasn't. I recognize that he was trying to give himself a more humanized look, but I don't know if it necessarily worked in his favor. Obviously, he knew he already had an audience that was pretty skeptical about him, and he didn't really win anyone over. He was just still taking swipes at EA, quite overtly there. It actually reminded me of Paul Simon when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just unnecessarily saying horrible things about Art Garfunkel, and the whole affair was very strange, and I don't think most people took away a more positive image of him as a result.
No, I mean, and it was strange too when on the face, it seemed like it was kind of a spin based on what his public reception has been, especially in the eyes of developers and gamers. But, when he says, essentially, I'm sorry, Harmonix, for not buying you, and sort of screwing up the music category by creating this rivalry that didn't need to exist. At the same time, the week before, he's shutting down Red Octane.
Exactly.
So is that an apology or more of a business apology that I should have gone a different route?
Yeah, it was interesting. Now, John Schappert, who's the COO of Electronic Arts, he spoke today, and he decided to at least send the ball back over the net in terms of the insult that EA received from Bobby Kotick. You were there. How did he phrase it?
He was essentially, Bobby Kotick was talking about, our perception is we're the Death Star, and we're not, and that was kind of trying to essentially, he was trying to portray Activision as a place you can come as a developer and have a healthy environment. You can be creative. If you want to sell out, I think was the term that Kotick used.
Yes.
You go to EA, and that John Shepard kind of tried to turn that around. When I think most people, if you look at the EA Partners Program, if a company like BioWare can thrive at a company like that, there might be a different environment that's working for them.
Obviously, there's no love lost between those two entities. Well, obviously, those and many, many more of those lectures are available on the website, g4tv.com. But since the two of us are here, you don't want just the two of us. You want, people of
Someone
importance.
infinitely more interesting.
So we grabbed someone who also has a lecture that they gave that is available right now on the website, and you should definitely check it out. Randy Pitchford from Gearbox Software.
Yay. Come on,
how's it
select
going?
audience.
How's it going?
Thanks for joining us.
Happy to do it.
So, congratulations. Borderlands
Four?
is just
Oh,
kind
Borderlands,
of an
thank
awesome
you.
game.
Just being an interesting person. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. That's something I can actually take credit for.
The game has been out for a little while, and I want to say the game was surprising, but not that it was good, but it surprised me in the parts of it
The
that
amount
were
of critical
so good.
success too that game incurred.
And commercial success. I mean,
Yeah,
how has it been? It was. I don't know if you'll admit it, but I mean, was it a surprise to see the reception as strong and as passionate as it was?
It exceeded my expectations for sure. But I was not surprised that we were onto something there. Obviously, I believed in it. Else, how could I possibly? And all of us at Gearbox, believed in that. So, and that's part of I think why there's something to it. You can feel the love in it, so to speak.
Now, when you change the art style, there's this sense, there's me all this pushback. What have you done? No, it looks like a cartoon. I never heard much like that. Once it came out, I heard very few complaints from anybody. I mean, did you feel you had won people over with the rather dramatic change in art direction?
I think the world that's noticed that change reacted to it the same way that I did when I first saw the art style. It wasn't under my direction. It wasn't some top-down kind of push. In fact, it was sort of a coup amongst several artists that wished to have more attitude and personality in the game and wanted to kind of do something special there too. We were already taking so many risks. Why not add another risk to the pile, right? So they kind of worked on a prototype, and I knew that they were up to something, and I said, okay, Brian, have your team spend 3 weeks, make a prototype, fine. And I remember the meeting when I went in to look at it. And I was thinking, I just ruined these guys because I let them go for 3 weeks. Now they care a lot, and I have to turn this off because it's going to be a huge production risk. And but oh my God, when I saw what they had done, it just totally. I mean, it was awesome. I had never seen anything like it.
And that's what's so amazing. Once you've played Borderlands, it's so hard to imagine that game without that switch. And I know that when I've talked to you and to the other members of the development staff, it's that for them too. The moment you see those two things come together, like the game was in development for years, and the gameplay made sense.
Yes.
It's just then this other piece made the
Totally
whole
just
picture.
opened it all up and made it correct now, and it was a really great thing. And I also have to be so thankful for our publishing partner, 2K. After we kind of got on board with this on our side, I had to go, wait a minute, someone else has a stake in this. So I took the prototype and flew out to San Francisco, and I showed it to those guys, and instead of being afraid, they said, this is really cool.
That's good.
And
That's good.
they got behind us, and they trusted us, and they got behind us, and they got behind the game, and look what happened. So it's rare to have publishing partners that can tolerate risk. And 2K is amongst the best of them, frankly. I mean, they brought BioShock, for example, right?
I mean, which I think was a fairly risky venture as well.
Yeah.
Just thinking about doing that makes me think of being in college and knowing I had to ask my parents for more money because I wasn't going to make it to the end of the month, and how anxious I was on that call.
I didn't get any more money.
That was the same
I just had to prove we weren't going to throw it off the rails, basically.
Now, actually, with 2K involved in this, one of the things that struck me with Borderlands is it's not so much a great game, but it's a great platform. I mean, obviously there is DLC that's already come out.
Yeah.
There's more that's coming that's going to be quite robust. But you seem to have created something that, without even having a sequel, could just kind of grow and be built into over a great deal of time. Was that something that you were aware of from the get-go?
Sort of. I mean, the bet is the idea was, hey, I love chocolate and I love peanut butter. I've got my RPG and I've got my shooter. I think a Reese's peanut butter cup would be just delicious, right? and when you think about what RPGs do, we had Diablo and that was awesome, and then Diablo 2 kind of like perfected that,
Yeah.
and now we trust Blizzard in this loop. And at the same time, there's also this world that we want to spend time in, World of Warcraft, it's Warcraft. So they put those two things together, this loot loop, and this universe, and now we trust the game loop, and we want to spend time in this universe, and we're all happy to spend time in World of Warcraft now. And maybe there's a lot of ways we can take it, but we've kind of cracked that nut, and we weren't the only ones that looked at that. There was a lot of folks kind of thinking, hey, there might be something about blending these genres, but it was very challenging to do it in a way that felt good, that actually kind of worked. And that was where we spent the bulk of our pre-production, is just hey, we need a fun, loot loop, because that's not what our expertise is. Our expertise is in the shooter mechanic.
Yeah, the game ended up being like a pretty surprising commercial and critical success. Based on how the players are actually playing the game, what has surprised you the most about how people have responded to the game? Is there something part of it that you didn't expect they were going to latch onto that they've just kind of...
Oh, yes. I'll tell you, well, it's bigger than I expected, and one of the things that surprised me is the thirst for more content. I could not believe how quickly people leveled up their character to max level and were pissed at us after having, dude, what's up with you, man? Only giving me a billion hours of game. And I'm like, whoa, you guys are awesome, but I'm not used to that.
Good problem to have.
You burn through a Brothers in Arms story in about 12, 14 hours or something, and you're feeling like, oh, cool, I'm good, thank you, Gearbox, and we made people mad by offering so much more value there.
And that first hit was free, and now they're coming back. They're like, yeah, but I'm all out.
But what was cool on our side, though, we had so much fun and joy in crafting it, and the team was so performant and so invigorated by the kind of creativity that we could do there that we didn't want to be done either. So that's one of the reasons why the DLC's been happening so quickly. We've just kind of been all in. There's a demand. There's a kind of a lust to create the supply on our side, and it's a nice, happy surprise that all worked out. Because sometimes it might not have. Who knows?
Now, one of the big things Evan's been talking about here at the conference is social networking or sort of social gaming. I would say Borderlands is this interesting nexus of definitely being a hardcore game that I think is one of the most social games that got released in the past year. And I don't know if,
So should we figure out how to port it to Facebook? Or?
Yeah, that would be fascinating.
I don't need any more notifications.
But, are you agreeing that there is something very valuable now in looking at the game not as just straight entertainment, but a way to kind of bring people together that becomes kind of this shared experience?
Honestly, I think it's always been true that when we have fun and we have friends, it's fun to have shared experiences with friends. And I played Doom on a modem, back in the day. So this is not a new concept to me. I think what's happening today is the concept of connectivity and the tools for connectivity and the accessibility of connectivity is just so much easier. It's out there. All of us are plugged into something now. So back when I was heavily into Doom, there was maybe 30 of us on IRC that would, just rack up $1,000 phone bills playing each other in Doom. That's totally not accessible, right? But now anyone can, get online and get connected, whether you're talking about iPhones or Facebook or Xbox Live Marketplace or PSN or all this stuff. That's just really easy to kind of find a way to have those shared experiences. Whether we made this decision with Borderlands 2. We knew that some of the shared experiences you'd want to do live, so split screen, right? I played the game with my son on our couch together, and we were having fun playing split screen. But sometimes the people we want to play with they could be on the other side of the world, and so the technology exists today to support it all. So that's really cool.
All right. Well, Randy, I think that's all the time we have for you today.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
You, sir.
Awesome. A pleasure talking to you guys.
Yes. Go make more games. I enjoyed them.
I'll be back.
I enjoyed them. Now we would like to introduce someone on the stage that may not be as well known to you as Randy Pitchford, but he's someone who I really, really liked and I've gotten to become a friend with in the past year. His name is Dr. Peter Rod. Come on up. And you are with, yes, let's have a round of applause.
Right.
Now, you're with the Guildhall at Southern
Correct.
Methodist University.
Correct.
And I'm forgetting what kind of awesome academic title you have within that organization.
It's very awesome. It's executive director and founder.
Executive director of Awesome?
Of Awesome, yes.
Now, Dr. Rod, for the benefit of the audience, what is the program? Because I think one of the things that I found so appealing about it, it's not just here's how you make a game type program. You're dealing in sort of broader strokes too about the significance of interactive entertainment.
Sure, it's a master's level program. And we have 3 specializations. We have art creation, level design, and software development programming. And really the unique part, I think, of the Guildhall at SMU is the fact that students for 2 years while they're at SMU not only are honing their skills and mastering a subspecialty, let's say, of art or design or programming, but they're also learning to work in the style and at the pace of the game industry. So it's a simulation. It's a game within a game. It's a simulation of the game.
Life is a game. Life is an RPG, as we were talking about.
A simulation of the game industry. And so they're learning how to actually work across the disciplines of art and design and programming. And it'd be like being a part of a symphony where not only do you have to become a great oboist yourself, but you also have to be in tune, so to speak. There's no pun intended there. You have to be in tune with the rest of the symphony and be able to articulate your art, your creativity, your craft, but in harmony with everybody else, and really get the most out of everybody else on your team.
Now, obviously that's a fairly unique but very valuable tool to be giving someone. When you're looking at your students, who are, I'm assuming they're in their 20s, you know, they're fairly young.
Yes.
Do you see that they're working with ideas that they're going to be bringing into the games industry, you know, 5-6 years down the line when they start to move up the ranks in larger groups?
They certainly come into the guild hall thinking that they want to make the games that they enjoy, that they would enjoy playing. So the passion is there, and really the passion, as we heard here at D.I.C.E, it is what comes first. And then the talent really is what articulates that passion and brings it into reality. So absolutely, when they come in, they have ideas, but then they quickly realize that ideas are really only the beginning. It's about execution. It's about combining my passion with other people's passion. Very few people end up making really their own game, particularly when you're working in very large teams. You end up playing off, kind of like in a jazz ensemble. You're going back to talking about music. You end up basically riffing off of everybody else's desires and gameplay and tricks and things like that. But to make it even more practical, all of us have some really, really lousy ideas. And it's a wonderful place to get them out of the way.
Get it done early and move on to the
get
good
them out
stuff.
early so that you can get to the good ones.
I mean, it seems like that, stuff like that is where people figure out, it's easy to come up with a good idea for a game. It's very hard to turn that into a good game.
Absolutely. And again, starting with a bad idea, it doesn't matter how much talent you got, it's going to be horrible. But I think the game industry is blessed with a phenomenal fountain of phenomenal ideas. There's great ideas. And so I don't think it's a shortage of ideas. Obviously, the ones that kind of turn things upside down, game changers, if you will, that are just awesome. Oh my God, why didn't anybody do that before? And particularly now when you're talking about technology no longer being really the center of the universe, but more like human beings becoming the center, and technology actually reading the responses, if you will, and making them the important part of the equation. I think that's where I think, and hopefully our graduates, we've got over 330 already at over 80 studios around the world, hopefully some of them are focusing on turning technology into human-centric technology so that people can enjoy the games even when they can't push 16 buttons at the same time and use your elbow to do these things.
One of the things that you've always impressed upon me is that you also teach, and you're very aware of the role that games have that has a larger impact on society,
Yes.
that there are healthy things that we can do through games. What is it that you try to sort of give to your students so that they understand that, A, they have a very powerful tool, and there's many things they can do with it?
To me, and I've been saying this maybe to the chagrin of a lot of people, that video games to me are the form of human expression for the 21st century. I mean, to me, it's a continuation of the pen, if you will, and the paper and the book in the 19th century and the radio television in the 20th century. And I think for the 21st century, it's about interactivity and networked interactivity. It's about the pixels moving. So to me, it's a form of human expression. Well, if it is that, if it truly is the form of human expression for the 21st century, what an awesome responsibility then that those that master that have in order to use it for the benefit of society. Now, a tremendous benefit to society is entertainment. I think we should have phenomenally entertaining games that we can enjoy and play. But at the same time, I think there's going to be a tremendous role, already we see at the beginning, in using video games in order to educate. Now, personally, I don't believe we can use video games in order to change behavior. I believe we can actually use video games to educate. And whether we're using education to help young people make good choices about what they're eating, combat obesity, or whatever it is, or using video games in order to teach someone chemistry or mathematics, or how about a pilot to learn how to perform in very dangerous situations without 200 people on the back of the plane. Those are all interactive simulations in which individuals, human beings, get to make choices that have real consequences on the progress of the game, on the progress of the simulation, but they do it in a safe and controllable environment. That is an awesome responsibility of these masters, if you will, that we're graduating. They're going to go into the field and are going to be articulating their craft, or are going to become artisans. And so they need to have a deep foundation of the power of the medium and how to use it conscientiously and how to use it in a way that is a positive contribution to society.
One of the larger debates that comes up in games is, are games art? Do you end up viewing them in that light?
Absolutely. To me, a video game is a performance, is an artistic performance. Now, a funny way is that everything else, if you talk about music, you talk about reading a book, or you talk about going to the movies, typically we are spectators. We're benefiting, obviously, from the performance, and we're engrossed in it, and we love it. And I think it's fantastic, whether you're reading a book, or you're at the symphony, or listening to your favorite band on a CD. But what I think is fantastic about video games is the fact that the player is actually a co-creator, is a participant in that experience. And so being together with those who've created the game, and now you're a co-creator, how could it not be an artistic expression? Not only is it an artistic expression of those who've actually made the game, but it's a continued artistic expression of everybody who's involved in playing the game. And then when we tie into it the connectivity and being able to create this, phenomenal artistic expression with people who are not even on the same continent with us, it becomes a popular and worldwide articulation of a shared imagination and a shared artistic endeavor. That's very powerful. It's a powerful medium.
That's why you have a doctor at the front of your name, because I've always thought that you made that sound so elegant and beautiful. I can't believe it. Dr. Rod, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Always
Appreciate
a
it.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
All right. Well, that's feedback for
That
this
is-
field trip.
That
We're
is
now
D.I.C.E.
gonna-
2010.
Yes. We would like to obviously thank Randy Pitchford and Dr. Peter Rod for joining us today for this very informative show. Please go check out all the other videos from D.I.C.E. that are available on the website. They're as fascinating as what you just saw here, and there's a lot of them. And we'll be back in the studio with those headphones on very, very shortly.